Hello everyone, and welcome back to another tutorial of Digimon Digital Adventure. Today we'll be diving into the effects that you can add to attacks. There are other tags you can add, but these are the 28 different effects that you can add to attacks to make them more different, giving them effects to affect yourself, allies, or enemies, depending on what effect you choose. As a very quick reminder of how effects work, when attacking an enemy, your leftover accuracy is the amount that an effect will have a duration, if it has a duration. This is equal to leftover accuracy dice plus 1. And you must do at least 2 damage with an attack if it has the damage tag for it to apply an effect. And if you are affecting an ally, it is accuracy versus health. You must beat the accuracy with health, so you want to roll low on your accuracy for buffs. And you are guaranteed at least 1 round, unless you use it as AoE, and then you lose the guaranteed 1 round. That's just a quick overview of how effects work. We've gone deeper into it in other videos, if you wish to look into them there. So, now let's look into the specific effects of attacks, and effects that you can get with the attack effects quality. Let's start with the ones that only cost 1 DP and are easy to pick up. First of all is Fear. This is all about not wanting something to attack you. They take a penalty equal to their bit value to accuracy so long as they are under this effect. Plus, they can no longer clash with you while they are afraid of you. This allows you to protect yourself from bigger, badder enemies. Immobilize. The target takes a penalty to their movement equal to your bit value doubled. This can reduce their movement speed completely to 0 so that they cannot move, if your bit value is high enough and their movement slow enough. The next is Taunt. Taunt is the opposite of Fear. Taunt is where you want things to hit you because they will take a penalty to their equal to your bit value times 2 if they do not affect you with an attack. If they instead decide to use an area attack, which you are included in it, they only take a penalty equal to your CPU value minus 2. So typically this will have no effect on area attacks unless you are specialized in CPU or are ultimate level or above. Now the next two are abilities that do not have durations. Knockback. If it affects, it is not nothing happens according to leftover accuracy dice unless it has the damage tag and it will do more damage. But it will knock them back equal to your CPU value plus your stage bonus. This means that you can throw Digimon with it just like clashing. If they run to solid things such as a wall, you use the falling guidelines, where they get the first 5 meters free and is reduced by their CPU value. So you have to have an extremely far knockback for this to be able to do any damage. The much better way to be able to use it is if you push them into a group of enemies. It's just like throwing a large enemy into a group of enemies, and it is considered a basic range attack, and you get a bonus equal to your accuracy equal to your CPU stat. So you can knock back enemies and get 2 attacks out of it effectively by knocking them back into a group of smaller enemies. Pull is the opposite of knockback, where instead of forcing them away, it pulls them the same amount towards you, your CPU value plus your stage bonus. This cannot knock enemies into other enemies. It does not do any of that extra stuff, but it will pull ranged attackers towards you if you want to get them into melee range. Now we'll start looking into ones that cost 2 DP. These ones are slightly more expensive, but generally a little more powerful. First off is Confuse. Now, keep in mind, this one is slightly different than most of the other buffs and debuffs we're going to talk about in a moment, because the target takes a penalty equal to accuracy and dodge. This is very typical of buffs and debuffs as it affects 2 stats. But the difference of this one is it takes a penalty equal to the target's CPU value or bit value, whichever is higher. This means that your lowly rookie with a CPU or bit value usually of 1 can hit an ultimate with this and have far greater effect. So if you are attacking something of a higher stage, this can actually be very good. But if you're hitting things of lower stage, well, you probably don't have to worry about them so much anyway. So it's very different. Now we'll get into the ones that are a little more normal, such as Distract. It is a penalty to dodge and accuracy equal to your bit value. This is a great way to stop things from being able to either take no damage or be able to hit you in general. Exploit is a penalty equal to your armor and dodge. This is your one that if you want to make enemies easier to hit and take down, but it will not affect any of their offensive capabilities, but will make them much easier to take down in general. Pacify is a penalty to damage and accuracy. This means that they have a much harder time hitting you, and even if they do hit you, they do far less damage. Poison is slightly different, where at the end of every round, the target takes a amount of unalterable wound boxes. This is unusual as this damage is not reduced by armor, hence unalterable wound box. And they take damage equal to their CPU value at the end of each round. Not only that, but poison's minimum duration is 3 rounds, so even if you only roll exactly their dodge dice, you still get 3 rounds of poison. If battles last long enough, poison can do a lot of damage. Stun. This can be also very powerful because the target loses a simple action each round so long as they are stunned, and it ends clashes. So this means that you cut their action economy in half. They cannot do complex actions, and they only have a simple action on their turn. This can shut down a lot of Digimon from doing a lot of the things that they want. Weaken. The target takes a penalty to damage and armor. This doesn't stop them from dodging or hitting, but when you do hit, or when it does a lot more damage when they hit, it does a lot less. It makes them a lot less effective, unless they're effect warriors, and then it won't do quite as much. But then they already have low armor, so that would make them especially explode. Let's look at some of the positive effects that you can buy to help your allies. First up is Fury, which is a bonus to accuracy and damage. This is your ability to make your allies hit really hard. Haste is the opposite of Stun. The target gets an additional simple action for 1 round. Keep in mind, this effect has no duration. It is always 1 round. Doesn't matter how well you roll on it, so long as you get at least the 1, unless it's single target, then you always get the 1. They will only get it for 1 round. Plus, this has to be a complex action. Typically, unless you have someone who can make really good use of that 1 simple action, Haste typically has to be an AoE to make it worthwhile. Strengthen is a bonus to damage and armor. Again, increase your static numbers so that whenever you are hit or do damage, it's better. Swiftness is a bonus to dodge and accuracy. Again, these will aid your less reliable ones, so you're able to do more effectively, stay alive, and also hit things. And Vigilance is a bonus to dodge and armor. This is the ultimate one if you want to keep your target alive, with being able to take no damage or reduce damage if they do actually get hit. And then finally, Vigor. The target gains a bonus to dodge equal to the bit value. But also, the second part's a little different because it affects movement, which is not one of the 5 main stats, and it's a bonus equal to their bit value doubled. Now the ones that are technically either or not necessarily positive or negative. Lifesteal, because it's a negative for your opponent, but a positive for you. Whenever you hit with a Lifesteal attack, you heal a number of wound boxes equal to your own CPU value, or the amount of damage that you did, whichever is lower. But if you wish to make this attack a complex action, you can double the amount that you would Lifesteal. This has no duration. It's a one-time thing. It does not keep draining. It drains once and is done. Now, Cleanse. Cleanse is a little different because it can be used as a positive or negative effect if you have the selective targeting quality. But just in general, it will target a number of effects equal to the leftover accuracy dice if you hit a single target. And it will reduce all of those effects that you can affect by a value equal to their own bit value. If you do use this with an AoE tag, it affects the person that rolled the lowest. It affects them all, a number of effects equal to the Digimon that rolled the worst. So therefore, if you rolled 5 accuracy and someone rolled 2 to dodge, you would then be able to target up to 3 effects. Each individual counts as one of these effects, so you could remove the same effect from 3 people, or different effects from 3 different people, or 3 effects from a single target if they have that many. But if you do have the selective targeting, you can use it to remove all positive buffs from enemies with Dispel, or Purify, which can remove all debuffs from your allies as a positive effect. Next, and finally, let us look at the 3DP abilities. These are the ones that cost the most and generally will be the most effective. We'll start with Blind. The target takes a penalty equal to action dodge equal to your bit value. Very similar to one of the 2-point abilities before. But additionally, they take a penalty equal to their stage bonus on perception checks for the duration of this effect. Well, perception check in combat is a complex action. There's very few Digimon that are going to take the time to do that. So you may want to work with your GM to have more pointed effects of what Blind will do to actually affect things. Unless you have someone trying to hide and actually use this, that will very rarely come up. Burn. Burn is an effect that is similar to poison, and because of such, does not stack. If someone is already poisoned, burn will take over, and vice versa. They will cancel each other out. But burn punishes you for moving. For every meter moved, you take 1 point of damage. But unlike poison, this is actually reduced by armor as normal. But such effects that force you to move, like knockback, pull, or being thrown, can trigger this. So you can make it trigger more than once per round. Even if you do not move at all, you take your stage bonus times 2 in damage at the end of the round. This normally will reduce it to 1 damage. You will always take at least 1 damage because it is a damaging effect. And as a minor note, a Digimon with Nature Walk Fire cannot be affected by Burn. That is one of the abilities that they gain. Dot. Dot, as you may have seen from some of the games, is it reduces your Digimon down to a 16-bit sprite. It makes them flat. This means that they lose access to all attacks that have tags besides your basic ones. So melee, ranged, and damage. Those are the only types of attacks you can use. But during this time, you gain a bonus to your dodge equal to your own RAM value. This effect can only be applied to damaging moves, and you can only dot someone for a maximum duration of 3 turns. And once an enemy has been affected by dot, it can no longer be affected in the same combat by dot again. You can only shut them down for so long with it. Lag. Lag lowers the initiative of someone in the next round. When you land an attack that has lag on it, you roll 1d the target's bit score, which if you have to roll for higher levels, a 1d5, that can be very interesting. But you can just divide the result of a d10 in half, or if you're using a digital medium, rolling any die is very easy. And whatever you roll on that, they are moved that many spots down. It does not reduce their initiative by that amount. It moves them that many spots down the initiative order. You cannot stack multiple instances of this, so this buys you just a few extra turns in order to save someone before a boss goes, or try to finish off a boss before it can do its signature move, or things like that. And if you use an attack with lag, it must be a complex action. Paralysis. The target treats all terrain as difficult terrain for the duration, which means, as a reminder, to move at all in difficult terrain is a complex action, so it is their entire turn to move if they are paralyzed. And they take a penalty to their dodge equal to your bit value. It will also end any clashes that they are currently involved in. Now let us move on to the positive effects for 3 points. Regenerate is the opposite of poison. The target regains wound boxes at the start of each round, so yes, you will have to survive ticks of poison if you have them in order to be able to hit your regeneration benefit, equal to your bit value for the duration. While under the effects of Regenerate, you are also treated as having an additional rank of Resistance, which helps you to stop any effects that are coming into you. But do keep in mind, unless you have the fancy version of it, it will also reduce positive effects coming in as well. Also, keep in mind that you cannot go above your normal wound box value. This will not give you temporary wound boxes. This won't fix things like what you gain from shield, as we're about to look into, or anything extra like this. It only affects your base wound boxes. And finally, we have shield. Shield will give a target an amount of wound boxes equal to your bit value. You may increase the potency of the attack to your bit value times 3 if you make this an attack a complex action. These last until the end of combat, so it has a duration of end of combat. It's not actually at all based on your accuracy versus health roll, unless you are just verifying that someone gets it in an area of effect ability. Do keep in mind that abilities such as Combat Monster do not trigger when you take damage to these temporary wound boxes, only to your physical wound boxes. Do keep in mind that for any of these buffs that are going around, humans are considered to have a CPU bit and RAM value of 1, so they can be affected by the damage of poison. They can be affected by strengthen if they want to go in there and actually attack things. Humans cannot use buffs or effects unless they have an item that specifically allows them to do so, but they can be affected by these as well. But using these abilities can give you a huge edge in combat. Just a few buffs here and there can completely change how powerful a Digimon is and give a huge advantage to you, your party, depending on whether you specialize in single target or area of effect, going for bigger risk and bigger reward. So those are the 28 different effects that you can do in Digimon Digital Adventure. What's your favorite? Let me know down in the comments below what fun combos you've come up with or can see here. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more from me. And as always, everyone, remember to be awesome. Till the next one, take care. Bye-bye!